Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. How you doing?
What's going on, man? Overall, I've been doing good, just getting through the work life and regular life and so forth. Um, Obviously, we are now 1 week into the season, and it's definitely been a bit of a crazy, entertaining start to say the least. A lot of unexpected teams, unexpected game results, upsets, you name it, disappointments. Yeah, definitely a good amount to talk about momentarily. But how have you been doing?
I've been good. I've been busy, of course, with my classes and everything. But this is my last week, uh, for my classes, and then next week I'm starting something else. But I don't have to go back on campus anymore, so that's gonna be nice. I'm not gonna have as much homework anymore. I have other stuff to do, but I'm not doing homework every day anymore. I basically only have one more assignment to do, and it's just like a one-page paper. It's gonna be super easy. So, uh, yeah, I'm feeling good about that. Kind of sad that like tomorrow's gonna be my last class, and I'm not gonna see my friends until like next year, basically until like classes start again in January. But I've been enjoying all of that, even though I've been also very stressed. And of course, I've been enjoying the basketball. Dude, it's been insane. This has been such a great week of basketball. Like, the NBA just got started, and we have a good amount to talk about. A lot of good things, a lot of great things, especially on the court. Off the court, there's been a lot of shady stuff going on that we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, so we took a break last week because I was busy. So that ended up working out because now we have a lot more to talk about in this episode. And we are gonna, bring back what we've been doing throughout our, weekly coverage, which is doing the W list, the L list. But before we do that, we're gonna go over the standings really quickly, which I know is a little silly, since it's been like 1 week of basketball. But it's interesting to know like how the teams are doing, as uh, especially at the beginning of the year. Uh, so, Hoops, I'll give you the honors. Would you like to read off the standings for the West Coast, the best coast?
All right, sounds good. So, sitting atop the Western Conference and in the league as a whole, none other than the reigning champions, Oklahoma City Thunder at 5-0. Sitting second is the Spurs at 4-0. Third, we have the Warriors at 4-1. Fourth is the Nuggets, 3-1. Fifth, we have the Blazers, 3-2. At six, we have the Lakers, also at 3-2. Grizzlies, 7, 3-2. Um, 8 through 10, all tied at 2-2. We got the Jazz, Clippers, and the Rockets. At 11 and 12, at 2 and 3, we got the Timberwolves and the Mavericks. At 13 and 14, at 1 and 4, we got the Suns and the Kings. And sitting at the bottom of the conference, we got the winless New Orleans Pelicans at 0-4.
All right. So on the Eastern Conference, surprisingly, we've got the Bulls at number one with a 4-0 record, 76ers at number two with a 4-0 record, Heat at number three with a 3-1 record, Bucks at number four with a 3-1 record, Cavs at number five with a 3-2 record, and the Pistons at number six with a 3-2 record. In the seventh seed, we got the Knicks at with a 2-2 record, Hornets at 8 with a 2-2 record, Hawks at 9 with a 2-3 record, Celtics at 10 with a 10-3 record, Wizards at 11 with a 1-3 record, Raptors at 12 with a 1-4 record, Magic at 13 with a 1-4 record, and at the very bottom we have the Pacers with four at number 14 with a 0-4 record, and the Nets at 15 with a 0-5 record. So we're gonna continue the record talk right here because In the W list, we're gonna start off by talking about the teams that are still undefeated. Would you like to go over the four teams that are undefeated so far?
Yeah, so the four undefeated teams right now are the Thunder, Spurs, Sixers, and Bulls. Um, Everyone is 4-0 except OKC is 5-0. And I think that would be a good transition to talking about how each of these teams potentially got to where they are. Um, so OKC, obviously the defending champs, and they had some hard fought sweating games to start the season. Two double overtime thrillers. They found a way to win both of them. And that was against the Rockets on opening night in that very crazy back and forth. And then the NBA Finals rematch against the Pacers in Indiana. And that was a crazy back and forth as well. But OKC was able to come out on top on both and showed the championship experience in them. And their other three wins were against the Hawks, Mavericks, and the Kings. Next up on the list, the Spurs, also undefeated, but at 4-0. They had wins against the Mavs, Pelicans, Nets, and Raptors. So beat a few disappointment slash not so good teams, but nonetheless, the Spurs have been looking very impressive in all these games. So definitely a massive step in the right direction for a young team. 76ers, their four wins came against the Celtics, Hornets, Magic, and the Wizards. Um, so they beat two teams that are expected to be good and two teams that are not expected to be very good. But nonetheless, though, I see the Sixers definitely looking a lot better than last year. So that's a good sign. Hopefully, if they can stay healthy, it continues going in the right direction. And now, for perhaps the biggest surprise of the season so far, the biggest surprise of the young season, of course, only 1 week in, the Chicago Bulls 4-0, and they beat some pretty solid teams too, at least based on the um, preseason predictions, shall we say. Um, Wins against the Pistons, Hawks, Magic, and the Kings. Three of them were expected to be playoff teams or heavy playoff contenders, and then the Kings probably not so much. But nonetheless, Bulls being 4-0 is definitely pretty shocking, and so far they've been looking good. So we'll see how long they are able to keep this up. Will it be sustainable? I don't know, but so far so good. So that would be the teams that are currently undefeated. Is there anything you would like to add on to what I mentioned before we move on to the next W?
Well, for sure, something that like to keep in mind. You briefly mentioned it is that like, uh, these teams that are undefeated, most of the competition have been on the weaker side. I feel like the Thunder might have faced the hardest, most impressive team with the Rockets, maybe. Um, let's see. There's the Hawks who are pretty disappointing at the moment. Both the Thunder and Bulls defeated the Hawks. So yeah, a lot of mid teams, a lot of like trash teams that have lost to all of these undefeated teams. But still they're getting the job done, which is uh, the goal, especially for the Bulls. I'm pretty sure, like you were spot on by saying like the Bulls is definitely like the most surprising team here because they are one of the more mid teams. I would throw 76ers in there as well, but like uh, we kind of consider them to be a bit more on the mid side due to injuries, and they're fine. They're flourishing even with their like the biggest stars um, injured. They kind of figured it out early. Tyrese Maxey is going off. So yeah, I do wonder. Like, what do you think? Which team here is gonna get their first loss, like before the rest, and then which team do you think are gonna stay undefeated for the longest?
Well, I think that question will be better answered knowing who these teams are going to be playing next on their schedule, honestly. Um, because like if you're going to talk about teams based on talent, you can make your assumptions there, but I think that like actually knowing who they're playing would definitely help because let's say for example, the Thunder is going to be playing against who knows, someone that might be arguably the second best team in the league. And then the Bulls are playing against like the Wizards. Then you would think that the Bulls will probably drop their first game first, but the Thunder might play against a better team, which then makes their chances a little bit higher. So I think that definitely a little bit of a tricky question there. I would say if talking blindly, not knowing who either team is going to be playing, then I would maybe say the Bulls for that perspective, just because they're the most shocking. But I think that the real answer would be I would have to see the schedules and see who's playing like tougher. I mean, who's playing tougher competition might potentially be the first to lose.
All right, fair enough, I guess. Well, I just looked up the Thunder
Yeah.
schedule right now, and it seems like they have a pretty easy schedule to start off the season. I believe they're like probably the hardest team they're going to be facing is either the Warriors in November 11th or before the Warriors, the Clippers on November 4th. But you know the Clippers are a little shaky at the moment. They're a little old as you'd expect, but you know uh, it is what it is. The Bulls are gonna be facing the Knicks on Halloween, so that could be their first loss. They're facing the Knicks twice. If they somehow win those two, then their next team would be the 76ers. And if the 76ers are undefeated, then one of them are bound to get their first loss for sure. Um, but yeah, what was the other team? What was the other team that
Spurs.
Spurs? Okay, let's check Spurs schedule. I'll say talent wise, obviously it's easy to say that like the um, the Thunder are probably gonna have a longer win streak. The Spurs are facing the Heat that are on fire tomorrow. On next Wednesday, next week, the Lakers. That's gonna be a good one. Um, so yeah, they could be losing soon as well. We'll see. But yeah, speaking of the Heat, that's another team that we were thinking about adding to the W list because of their surprising hot start, right?
Yeah, definitely a team that I didn't really expect much from when making the predictions, but so far looking pretty impressive. They lost their opener to the Magic. Since then, they have won the last three, and now is a 3-1 record. Um, Impressive wins for sure. Blew out the Grizzlies in Memphis, beat the Knicks, and a blowout win against the Hornets, who obviously aren't good, but still won easily, handily there. And they see themselves with a 3-1 record. So not too bad of a start for a team that not a lot of people really had much expectations for.
Not only that, they're doing this without Tyler Hero, who is by far their best like offensive player. And on paper, you know, you'd think that this team would suck offensively, but they've been scoring a lot of points. I think they scored what was it, 146 against the Grizzlies. That's insane. With like Norman Powell as your like best offensive engine at the moment. Spolstra really like found a way to bring out the best out of everybody on that team. They're playing with a lot of pace, a lot of touches. Impressive stuff. Like I did not see this coming at all. We'll see if that success continues. But you know what? it's the first week. Let's give the Heat a W. Why not? Why not? But yeah, I guess would you like to move on from here, or do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah. So I guess since you asked me which team do I think would be the first one to get the loss out of the undefeated, um, how about I ask you which team has been the most impressive in general? Like it doesn't necessarily have
Mm,
to be the undefeated teams, it could be any team.
impressive in general. That's a good question. Um, you know what? Give me the Bucks. The 3-1 winning record at the moment. Giannis is carrying the hell out of that team. Has had amazing performances. And this is a team where it's like Giannis, Miles Turner, and a bunch of like G leaguers. Like the rest of the team is ass. So the fact that they are 3-1, they have a better record than the Cavs, better record than the Knicks, who we both projected were going to be the top two seeds in the East. Um, yeah, I think they deserve a shout out. Obviously, Heat, Sixers, Bulls, what they're doing is great, but I feel like what the Bucks are doing is maybe possibly a bit more sustainable. I don't know. Maybe not. Not thinking about it because Giannis is carrying hardcore at the moment, but and that probably won't last too long as the season progresses. But yeah, I guess it's my Bucks bias at the end of the day, my Giannis bias. But I'll go with them as my most impressed team for sure. What about you? Do you have one?
Um I mean, I will say not a bad answer. I am kind of shocked that you mentioned them over like some of the other teams that we don't even expect to make the playoffs, for example. I would honestly say Bulls and Heat for that reason because I didn't expect them to necessarily I didn't really necessarily even expect those teams to really be like playing, I don't think. I mean like
Oh,
I could
really?
expect them to be playing contenders,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I don't know if they were gonna make the play in.
Well,
And here they are, 4-0 and 3-1. So I know it's really early in the season, but I would say those have been the most shocking teams so far for me.
yeah, I had Bucks around that area. I think when we did the seating prediction, I had them at 6, so it's not too far off from the play-in to begin with. So to me, they're all around like the same grouping, uh, give or take a few spots. Um, but yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's my Giannis bias. My Giannis bias. What is the most disappointing team at the moment? Not like I'm bringing the inner hater out of me right now, even though we're in the W list. But uh, which team do you think have been pretty disappointing?
Definitely, obviously, the Mavs have been disappointing because
Yeah.
to start, you lost against the Wizards at home. Like, that's embarrassing. Um, Obviously, they won a few lately. So that's at least maybe step in the right direction. I mean, we're gonna talk about them a little bit later, but yeah, definitely not the greatest start for them at all. Um, Aside from that, I think that the Magic for sure has been a very disappointing start because like we definitely expected them to be a pretty good contending peace team in the Eastern Conference. Um they haven't done very well. They won their opener and they lost four straight. We're gonna talk about them in a little bit as well, but I would say those two teams. Which team more disappointing? Probably the Magic, honestly, because their record is worse. But yeah, I would say definitely those two teams.
Yeah, you basically chose the teams I was thinking of as well. If I were to just throw in another team, maybe Timberwolves. But they would have had a winning record today if Austin Reeves didn't, you know, make that game winner today. So, uh, Yeah, I don't think they're a complete like disappointment, but
Yeah. And the reason why I don't mention the Timberwolves as a disappointment really is because Ant is out. So like it kind of makes sense that they're losing some
I
games.
forgot about
If
that
he
as
was
well.
Yeah, if he was playing and they had a record like this, which still isn't even that bad of a record, only one game below 500, but like I could definitely see an argument there. But because he's been out, that's why like I wouldn't consider them disappointment
Yeah,
just yet, at least.
yeah, not yet. We'll see by next week. But okay, let's continue the W. So let's stay positive. I went in a negative direction there, but let's stay positive. And a W. The next W goes to the NBA fans because we've been feasting. There's been so many great games and a lot of amazing performances. Um, we have a list of like some of the craziest performances throughout get a week of basketball, give or take a few days. How should we tackle this? Do you just want to read them all off? Should we talk about our? Maybe we should just read them off. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be the way to go. Um, so in the first 3 nights alone, there were a very good amount of crazy performances. And without further ado, here they are. So, starting with early in the season, so these all happened the first 3 days of the season. By the way, once again, SGA scored 55 points. Aaron Gordon was a crazy 50-point performance on 10 of 11 from three. Um, on the opening night, Luka put up 43, 12, and 9. And then his second game against the Timberwolves, he put up 49, 11, and 8. And that combined for 92 points, which is the most by any Laker through first 2 games, surpassing Jerry West. So a very good, impressive milestone for sure. Um, Steph put up 42 with 35 points in the second half and overtime against the Nuggets. Um, Ant put up 41 last week. Wemby put up 40 and 15. Tyrese Maxey put up 40. And then another impressive one was for the Sixers. Edgecombe in his NBA debut put up 34 points, and that is the third highest debut. So that in itself, pretty crazy for just 3 days into the season. And so we also listed a few other crazy performances beyond the first 3 days, but within the first week, because obviously we're only 1 week in the season. Um, Giannis put up a very impressive 31, 20, and 7 in a win against the Raptors. Um, Austin Reaves put up a few impressive games as well, and he's been having a really hot start to the season as well. He put up 51, 10, and 9 against the Kings. He put up 41 and 5 against the Blazers. And then he had a game winner against the Timberwolves last night. So shout out to AR getting the job done while the Lakers are shorthanded without their 2 superstars. Lauri Markkanen put up a pretty impressive performance as well. 51, 14, and 3 in an overtime win against the Suns. And another one of the crazy performances is teammates Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray in a single game. Jamal put up 43, 6, and 5 threes. Joker put up 25, 19, and 10. So these were some of the most impressive games that happened in the first week of the season. Anything you would like to point out in particular about these matchups?
Uh, yeah, not really point out, but I do have a question for you. Which of these performances were you like the most impressed by?
I would say Aaron Gordon, honestly,
Dude, that
50 points,
insane.
10 of 11 from three. That was pretty crazy. I mean, like, he's a good player, don't get me wrong. I didn't expect him to do godly numbers like that though.
10
So I would say
threes
Aaron Gordon was the most impressive
against
to
the
me.
Warriors, right? Like he was shooting like Steph against Steph.
Yeah. Should have won that game, but
Yeah,
Nuggets choked in
that's
overtime.
that's the unfortunate part. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's a good answer. I'm gonna be biased and say Luca's 49, 11, and 8 game just because I got to watch that live. I was like geeking out. I was like yelling in my living room. I was so excited seeing him drain so many like impressive buckets too. Like that like three on like I think the left wing and then the shimmy after. Oh my god. It just reminded me on like why I loved Luka so much when he was a Mav, and now that he's a Laker, I'm just so hyped to have him on the team. Unfortunately, he's injured now. He'll be back soon. I think it was like a 1 week timetable there.
Yeah. So
Uh,
honestly, not too bad.
Not too bad. And Austin Reaves has been killing it. Has been killing it since Luka's been gone, and of course LeBron's been gone. He hasn't played a game this season yet. So I guess Austin Reaves would be like another answer as well. 51, 10, and 9. Almost a 50-point triple double. That's insane. And then I feel like it'd be weird not to mention Wemby, the 40 and 15, where he's like crossing up people, doing step back threes, having just nasty, disgusting blocks. It was insane game from Wemby. So those are my answers. Any other answers from you, or did we kind of cover like the main ones?
Um, we definitely covered the main ones for sure. I feel like, I mean, obviously, all of these are very impressive performances. Some of them just happen to be more shocking than others because they're not necessarily players that you expect to be doing this type of stuff. So I would say most impressive and unexpected, the Aaron Gordon 50 for me. Austin Reeves putting up 51, 41, and then the game winner, crazy stretch as well. And then some really great players doing really great things. I think it's less shocking impressive, more like wow, these guys are such great players. So great to watch them in our league. So yeah, I would say we definitely covered pretty much all of them.
Yeah, there were so many amazing games. We didn't even bring up like SGA's 55 as like one of the most impressive games, even though that is the most points scored by any player so far this season. And he's the rating MVP, but like there's been so many surprising and impressive performances that it's easy to glance over that one because you know we kind of expect that from SGA at this point. An occasional like 50, 55 bomb from him. But yeah, impressive stuff here. Should we jump into some not so impressive, not so fun stuff and jump into the L list?
Yeah, I believe we have covered everything that needed to be done for the W list. And so now we shall move over to the L list.
Yeah, so to start things off in the L list, we got some like pretty big news that we can't ignore at all. I will say I'm not the most informed. I don't know about you. I don't know if you read up a lot about this first L, but you know the NBA has a lot of gambling issues at the moment. Some pretty big ones. So we're gonna briefly gloss over that. I pulled up an article from USA Today. They kind of like have a little description on what's been going on, but I advise everybody to do their research and look into it more. Uh, Definitely more than me because I haven't done a lot of research on this. Have you at all? Have you been reading
Um,
or listening to a lot of this news?
I wouldn't say a lot, but I know like a good amount to be able to at least cover ground. Like
Yeah,
for example, not necessarily like all the deep details per se, but
Same.
I did see there was this one article that was saying something about like what are the games that may have potentially been rigged or whatever, and they listed like the dates between what teams and so forth, and like mentioning like what went down and all that stuff. Like for example, one of them was saying like in February 2023 when the Lakers played against the Bucks. I believe this is like the first game after the trade deadline, so Lakers were already shorthanded. On top of that, LeBron was out. So I guess someone said bet on the Bucks to win, and they ended up winning because I guess they knew they were gonna be shorthanded. So stuff like that, I know a little bit about. Obviously, like I feel like most people now know about the Jontay Porter one because that happened last year and he ended up getting banned. So yeah, that one was definitely the most head scratching one, I think. Um, but yeah, aside from some stuff like that, I haven't really read up too much on like the precise details, but I do know a little bit about like certain games were rigged, and there may have been a certain people that talked into making certain bets because of like injury reports or whatnot. So yeah, I would say definitely like read up on it a little bit.
Okay, I'm basically on the same boat. Like, I haven't gone through all the details, but I heard like a few things, just like what you said about the Lakers game. I think someone tipped off that like LeBron wasn't gonna be playing that game before like anybody else knew about it. So the people gambling were able to jump on their bets before anybody knew that LeBron was playing or not. But yeah, let me go over like a few things that I feel like it's important to note. So the gambling issues involves several people. We've got Chauncey Billups, head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, Hall of Famer, Finals MVP for the Detroit Pistons. We got Terry Rozier, who has been a long time decent role player in the league. Damon Jones, who is a former player, I believe. I actually don't remember. And then Jontay Porter, who we talked about, brother of Michael Porter Jr., um, a garbage player that got into trouble last year. So apparently, there is a gambling crisis, and yeah, there's been illegal gambling on games and rigged poker games involved, and there are some ties with the mafia, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, apparently, um, yeah, all the people that I mentioned except for uh, Jontay Porter are all facing criminal charges in the wake of the scandal, which is also connected with the investigation that led to the NBA banning former Toronto Raptors player Jontay Porter. So I can cite light at the beginning. Uh, Federal authorities allege that the extensive scheme spanned years, and these are more than 30 co-defendants accused in the case, along with these prominent NBA figures. So there's a lot of people involved in this. It's not just these four um, people, I guess, these four former basketball players. And I say former now because I think Terry Rozier is um, he's in a leave of absence, I believe, and he's not going to be paid during this leave. Same with Chauncey Billups. He is no longer he's not coaching at the moment, and he's not going to be paid due to this scandal until like all things are figured out and all that. So the investigation remains ongoing. Authorities said, uh, and fallout has been immediate. Billups and Rozier were placed on immediate leave from their respective teams. Rozier's attorney issued a statement declaring Rozier is not a gambler. Billups' attorney also released a statement denying Billups' alleged role in the rigged poker games and emphasized that Billups did not gamble on basketball games. So that's kind of the gist of the situation. What I've heard is that like what Rozier would do, he would like I believe like score the amount of points he needed to score, or like if he needs to place the under with uh score under the amount or whatever, and then fake it like a knee injury at the moment to go sit out, to avoid passing the over or whatever. I don't gamble, but I hope that makes sense. And then with the poker games, I heard that they have like a lot of like intense technology where they like the poker table itself is like also like an x-ray, so they can read the cards that are facing down, and that's how they would cheat. And there's other like tools and gadgets utilized as well to cheat through the illegal poker games. I'm not a gambler. I didn't even know you could like it's a thing to have illegal poker games, rigged poker games. Um, I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently it is. Apparently it's all tied with the mafia, which is crazy to me. Like, how the hell did all these like multimillionaires? These guys are making tons of money, and they're just blowing their money and risking their livelihood for more money. That's insane to me. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is for sure like a crazy scandal. Like we thought the Kawhi scandal this summer like was insane. I think this just tops it.
Yeah, definitely crazy madness for sure. I mean, like, is the fact that players are gambling necessarily shocking me? Not necessarily, but I think that the fact that it got leaked like this is what made it more shocking. Um I feel like if the players knew the memo, a lot of them probably would be wise to do they'll gamble in other sports if they want to gamble, but not in basketball because like that's usually how the rules go. Like you're not allowed to gamble within your own sport. But the fact that these players got caught definitely red flags for sure. Earlier when you were saying that you misread the headline, I was about to say that it would have been quite ironic if Jontay Porter really didn't face no criminal charges, being the only player that was banned. I was about to be like, wait, what? But I guess all of them did. So that leaves the point behind. Yeah. So now I'm just starting to wonder, are there any players that got left off? Like other players that did the gambling but just didn't get caught by the FBI yet?
That's an
I wouldn't be
interesting
shocked,
question.
honestly.
Probably like
Yeah,
nobody knew this was all going on. I mean, I'm sure like
not at all.
if said something like this last year, like, hey, Chauncey Billups is having like these rigged poker games. I don't think anybody would have believed us last year because like
Yeah,
it's Chauncey Billups, Hall of Famer, a
yeah,
head coach.
exactly.
Like that's not what you expect from these players, but I guess that's it's been going on for years. It's been going on for years. You mentioned the Lakers Bucks example that happened. It wasn't this year, this past season, right? It was before, right?
It was like 3 seasons
Three
ago.
seasons ago. Like it's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is insane. Of course, we're not the most informed, so uh, I recommend doing further research. But that's kind of the gist of the situation. We'll see what happens here. I'm sure if things go south for these players, uh, I'm sure Terry Rozier is going to be banned from playing. Chauncey Billups will no longer be the head coach. And I heard talks where like Chauncey Billups might be stripped from the Hall of Fame because of this, which
That's
I
crazy.
didn't even know that can happen. Honestly,
I didn't know either.
yeah, but apparently that is a thing. I think that has happened to someone before in the past. I forgot who, but there was a player that did not make the did not make the Hall of Fame or was stripped from the Hall of Fame due to a gambling scandal. So this is a big deal for the NBA because money's involved. That's basically the only reason why it's a big deal. NBA players could beat their wives and the NBA wouldn't care. But when money's involved, that's when things get serious. So, uh, yeah, we'll see what happens from here. But crazy, crazy way to start off the season.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that he could be potentially removed from a Hall of Fame, even crazier. That would definitely be a shame if he did. But unfortunately, doing something like this, those are the type of consequences you face. So he should have known better. We shall see what happens here. As the saying goes, innocent until proven guilty, but we shall see what goes down at the end.
Yeah.
Um, but on that note, shall we move on to some teams on the L list?
Yeah, we got a couple teams that we kind of already mentioned, but we'll go into a bit more detail. Um, we got two teams that have been pretty disappointing, and we already mentioned them, Magic and Mavericks. Do you want to go over why they've been pretty disappointing so far this season?
Yeah. Magic, both of us expected them to be pretty high seed in the Eastern Conference for a pretty high playoff seed. And so far, they have not been onto a good start whatsoever. 1-4 start. They won their opener against the Heat, but now they have lost their last four against the Hawks, Bulls, 76ers, and Pistons. Um, a few solid teams here, and then a few either disappointments or shocking teams, like the Bulls, for example. Nonetheless, not a good start for a team that we expected to be good this season. However, it is early, obviously, and there is time to bounce back. So we shall see there. Um, Mavericks, another disappointment. 2-3 record. Their losses were against Wizards, Spurs, and Thunder. Their wins were against Raptors and Pacers. So, in other words, they lost to a trash team. They lost to two undefeated teams. They beat a not good, very good team. They beat two not very good teams and one winless team. So definitely a disappointing start for the Mavs. To add insult to injury, literally, unfortunately, Anthony Davis got hurt in the win against the Pacers last night. He got a sore leg. Hopefully, it is just something minor and he won't have to be out an extended period, if at all. If he had to be out like 1 or 2 games, that would honestly be best case scenario. If he doesn't have to miss any time at all, obviously that would be even better. But definitely, main thing is hope that AD's injury is not serious, because the constant narrative has always been Anthony Davis is a really great player in this league. Problem is, you can't trust him to stay healthy. Unfortunately, he's once again proving that narrative right at the moment, but let's hope that it's nothing major and he can be back on the court with no problems. But that would be pretty much my take on the Magic and Mavericks disappointing starts. Anything you would like to add on regarding these two teams?
Not much. It is for sure a disappointing start for both of these. The Magic on paper. Uh, I was hoping that they do a lot better. Now that their team is mostly healthy, and they have Desmond Bain on the roster, to help with the offense, help with the 3-point shooting. But yeah, they beat the Heat, which is a team that's on fire, and then lost to Hawks, Bulls, Sixers, and Pistons, which are all teams that should be beatable for the Magic. But unfortunately for them, they lost all four of those. And then the Mavericks, it's very unfortunate, especially knowing that Anthony Davis just got injured Uh, at first, I read that it was an Achilles injury, but doing further research, seems like he's gonna be out the next game due to having a sore leg. So it's not as intense, which is good. But yeah, the Mavs, uh, they've had a slow start. Cooper Flag has had a slow start, which he's a rookie. I know he's like a very high prospect. So we have a lot of high expectations for him. And when you compare him with what's his name? Uh Edgecombe from the 76ers. When you compare him with him, then yeah, it is very disappointing seeing how Cooper Flag is playing. But again, he's a rookie. I'm sure that he'll he'll get comfortable and figure it out this season. But yeah, at the moment, it's a little disappointing to see. But I'm sure he's gonna be um, a great player, and he'll get comfortable soon. I know today actually he did the too small thing to Mac McClung out of all people. Like
I saw.
that's low key kind of lame. Like
Yeah.
doing it to Mac McClung, a guy that could barely get a job in the league. All he does is, you know, do the dunk contest every year and represent the G League. Like you're gonna do it to him?
Yeah.
That's so lame. Julius Randle was
Bro.
ready to like fight Kevin Garnett as a rookie. And now we have Cooper Flag too smalling Mac McClung. That's actually kind of sad. Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
it is. White on white crime right there.
They don't talk about the
Yeah.
white on white
I mean,
crime.
it's literally a number one draft pick doing a too small
Against a guard,
um
an undersized
against a
guard.
guard, a G League guard that barely made an NBA roster. It's like, what are we doing right now? This is nothing like impressive to be flexing.
He's basically only in the league so he could be in the dunk contest during All Star Weekend. That's basically
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Um,
Wasn't he like signed to the Bulls for like 45 minutes and then waived too?
yeah, that was crazy. He was signed and like people get really excited and then out of nowhere waived him. It's like, what? Why you guys gotta do this guy like that?
That's
Um,
so disrespectful. That's more
it is,
disrespectful
yeah.
than what Cooper Flag did.
Yeah, definitely. Um, but all jokes aside, though, I am glad that Mac McClung is able to get an opportunity right now. Hopefully, I mean, it probably might just be like a temporary
Yeah,
contract, like a temporary thing, but hopefully he eventually does get like a fair shot to play for a team.
yeah,
And right now is his chance to showcase. Obviously, the Pacers being shorthanded at the guard position, um, show some flashes. Um, but yeah, I would say going back to Ellis, definitely some disappointing um, showings from Magic and Mavericks.
yeah. We
I
were.
think there's optimism
Oh, go
they
on.
can bounce back. Oh yeah, just saying there's optimism the teams can bounce back, but so far haven't been looking the greatest. But as you were saying,
Yeah, I was just gonna say that we were going to add more teams because there are like several teams that don't have a win, but we kind of expected those teams to be ass. We were gonna add the Celtics, who do have a couple wins now. I feel like their biggest L though isn't even like a team thing. It's Jalen Brown with this rub off hairline. Like,
yeah,
poor OG,
um,
like he got hairline
rubbed
on
it
his
off
on his jersey.
rubbed it off on OG Ananobi, and then the very next game did it again on Ron Holland.
That's kind of gross. Like I
It
know it's
is,
not
yeah.
like anything actually gross, but like it's a
It just
weird sight
looks
to
really
see.
nasty. Yeah. And I think the worst part about it is that his print, both players that he did it on were in white jerseys.
Yeah,
So it was more transparent to see and like more dirty looking. Um not to. I mean, I'm not saying that if it was a dark jersey, it wouldn't be like
But it's
nasty
more
looking.
noticeable on a white
It's
jersey.
more noticeable on white, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that
Jalen
was definitely.
Jalen Brown
And
left his
then,
Jalen Brown on the jerseys.
yep, yeah, that's a good one. Sounds about right. Did you hear? Jalen Brown got a haircut on a live stream. I think like Twitch or IG, one of those two. And he even like called LeBron on his live stream trying to ask for hairline tips.
Yeah,
LeBron
yeah. So
unshockingly didn't answer.
I like how
He
he has
leaves
a
a voicemail.
good sense of humor about this. Just joining in with the jokes, talking about how he needs to go to
Yeah.
Turkey for a hair transplant. So shout out to Jalen Brown. Overrated as
Yeah.
hell, but he's funny. He's funny.
Yeah, definitely. And I do think that for sure, at least he's being a good sport about it instead of being like butthurt by the smoke that the fans are giving him. He is playing along to it.
Yeah, he's owning up to
Um,
it. Unlike Devin Booker. Have you seen that video?
yeah.
That's
Um,
so funny.
can
I,
you remind me?
it's like I don't think it's actually him, but it looks like him. There's a clip of this barber who's putting a toupee over this bald guy's head, and like you don't see the face, but the head structure, the hair, the fade, it looks exactly like Devin Booker. So like
Yeah.
there's a before of like Devin Booker bald with nothing over here and just a barber just putting a bunch of hair on top and like gluing it on and stuff. So like it happened like last year. So like for a bit,
Yeah,
everybody was joking about how he like his bald.
yeah, I think I might remember this very briefly. Like you say, like about a year ago. I think that rings a little bit of a bell because I know it wasn't like recently. Um, but yeah, Devin he got really mad right when he
Uh,
saw the jokes.
I'm sure he did. He seems like he would get mad. He doesn't
Yeah,
seem like the guy that would have a sense of
yeah,
humor, to be honest.
pro- probably. But yeah, that was definitely pretty funny. And I would say that's an L list worthy thing because like getting roasted by the public media, rubbing off his fake hair dye or whatever you want to call it on the other players' jerseys. Yeah.
All right, that's all we have on the list, unless you can think of anything else. But we might be done here.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered everything. So, nothing that I know of to add on to that, I don't think. Um, I guess that will be our week one episode for the season.
Yeah, we're ending
As
early today. We never
yeah,
like end before an hour, but this is a good time to end it, especially like I gotta wake up very early tomorrow. We're up
yeah,
late
yeah, me too.
recording this, so this all works out. This all works out. We'll see if next week is gonna be any longer or not. But these under under an hour episodes, it's nice. It's nice for sure.
Definitely. Um, yeah, for sure. Obviously, the first week of the season in itself has pretty crazy. Some very entertaining games. Unexpectedly good teams, unexpectedly disappointing teams, and teams performing up to par, shall we say. And then we had some unexpectedly good performances from players you don't expect, players that we know are great, that are doing the things that we expect them to do, and so forth. So, week one was very fun and entertaining. Hopefully, the rest of the season will be just as fun all the way along. And I believe Friday is the start of the NBA Cup. So, potentially more fun moments to come there, too. So, definitely look forward to it.
On Halloween.
Yeah,
Ooh.
pretty cool.
So yeah, we got a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to, and if you want us to talk about it and you want to know our thoughts on what's gonna happen, make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, following us on all audio platforms. Leave a 5-star rating and review if you're on those platforms, and like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube. Check out the socials. I'll try to like start uploading and posting more on the socials now that the season is back. I've had like a long break from doing that, so I'll try to get back on that. Um, but yeah, anything you want to say before we head out?
Pretty much just mirroring Memo's words per usual. Appreciate you guys for the constant support to our channel. We greatly appreciate it, and we would not be where we are today without you guys. If you guys like our content, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, follow us on all platforms. And now that the season is running strong, definitely stay tuned to for more banging content, whether it's the weekly rundowns or fun episodes we will come along with as the season goes too, as well as some cool mini games here and there as well. So definitely make sure you guys continue to stay tuned. Appreciate you guys for watching. Have a great day, evening, and week. Catch y'all on the next one.
Yeah, we'll see you all next week. Goodbye.